racing immediately. But a champion becomes a legend. McCabe Diva wins it again.
Yes, yes, yes! Wins the Everest. Glenn Boss wins another big one.
Hello and welcome to Who's the Boss? Adam Peacock here, and it's a very big hello, as always, to Glenn Boss. Bossy, where do we find you this week, mate?
Adam, good morning. How are you, my friend? You find me in Brisbane today, heading down to Adelaide for a couple of days. But yeah, sunny Brisbane, mate. Nice and warm up here.
I bet. And Adelaide will be nice. What are you going there for? Wine or friends or family?
There's a wedding. Yeah, I've got to get down there for a wedding. And I believe it's going to be 41 degrees down there Saturday, Sunday. So not looking forward to that.
Mate, shirts off for G Boss. How good?
I'll get the guns out, mate. Knots on cotton.
Outstanding. Now, before we look forward and get to our great guest this week, it's a brilliant chat with a superb human being. Last week, Bossy, so Hong Kong, for you, did it live up to the expectations, those 4 big Group 1s on International Day?
Oh, it always does. It was so interesting to see Kaying Rising. He really took that race by the scruff of the neck, Zach Purton. He drove him. He's got very good race manners, this horse. You can drive him out, put him into spot. He seems to come off the bridle reasonably quickly, and then he digs deep, for the run home. So I hear they're talking about Everest, and he's building a profile to say that he might be one to beat in an Everest in the spring.
Yeah, it's very hard to line up very early, but David Hayes hasn't, I don't think, refuted those claims. He knows what he's doing with the horse, doesn't he, Bossy? I mean, does he give the impression for you that he'll be good enough for the 1200 scramble in front of 50,000 next October at Randwick?
Oh, I mean, when you've got a good horse like that, you really want to try him against the best to see where you actually fit. And to do that, you have to come to Australia, I'd imagine. Like David Hayes trained some amazing horse flesh over the time. So he's got a pretty good idea where this horse would sit in the pecking order. Zach Purton, he's been throwing his leg over a lot of very good horses, so he'd understand, and they talk glowingly about this horse. So, yeah, I mean, to find out, you want to bring him over here and test him against what we've got.
Romantic Warrior lived up to his billing again. I mean, if he's not the best horse in the world, he's very close to it at the moment, because behind him there, and you've got such a big opinion, Bossy, of Japanese horses, he left 2 of their very good ones behind him.
Oh, yeah, and another brilliant ride from J-Mac. Just put him in the right spot, and when he was on the fence there, about third on the fence, and he got an opportunity to come off one out, one back, which he took about the mile pole, and that was the winning move. And the horse was just so tough. I just love the way this horse wants the line. He wants to beat everything that's in front of him. And now they're going to test him, I believe, over in Saudi in the world's richest race, $20 million US Saudi Cup, which is 1,800 meters on the dirt. So this is going to be another mountain to climb. But yeah, if he, like you just said, Adam, he must be regarded as one of the world's best horses at the moment.
If you're J-Mac and you know that's on the horizon, do you basically plan your diary around that particular race in the next couple of months?
Yeah, well, it's in February, and I actually rode at that meeting. That was the last meeting that I ever rode at professionally. It was in Saudi, in the Saudi Cup. So yeah, it's huge money. And that I spoke to J-Mac about this particular race because they were planning this a little while ago, and he was concerned, obviously, dirt. I said, but this is one of the best dirt tracks you'll ever ride on. It's not a real deep dirt surface. I was speaking to Ryan Moore and Frankie Dettori on that night, and they said it was one of the best dirt tracks they'd ever ridden on. So it'd probably suit a horse like him. He races on the speed. I mean, what more does he have to do? He's won 3 of those Hong Kong Gold Cups. I mean, he can go over to, and he's won in Japan, he's won in Australia, so he travels. So let's go and test him in Saudi in what is the richest race in the world.
Yeah, and pretty exciting for James McDonald to be involved. I mean, he needs a turn of luck, doesn't he? He can't stop. He's struggling to find a winner, especially in a Group 1 at the moment, Bossy. So he's closing in on that. I think it was 129 Group 1 wins, the Australian record. D. Oliver holds that one, I think. So, yeah, it's only a matter of time.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time. It's ironic. We've probably got the world's best horse, and we've got the world's best jockey riding him. So, yeah, he's closing on that record very fast, and it's only a matter of time before he does do that. And to do it at his age is unbelievable. It's off the charts.
So that's a little update about racing at the moment. At the back end, of course, we'll look ahead to this weekend. Some good races around the place. It's not peak season. Some things to keep an eye on at Randwick. And also over in the west, the carnival continues in WA. Before we really get rolling, though, with our special guest this week, this episode of Who's the Boss is brought to you once again by our good friends at AirTouch, the ultimate smart air conditioning controller for your home or business. No doubt, Bossy, once again, it's been getting a workout in your abode in southeast Queensland.
Yeah, high humidity at home at the moment, and temperatures are just through the roof. And geez, I hope when I get down to Adelaide, when I get to my mate's place, when it's 41, I hope they've got an AirTouch, and if they don't, I'll be getting them one.
That could be the wedding present. What'd you get me for your wedding present? The AirTouch.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
That's it.
It's perfect. Yeah, so it's energy-saving features with AirTouch. I mean, wherever you are, it's in the lap of your hand. You can set the temperature control in your home. It's a brilliant product. AirTouch has you covered this summer. Discover smarter climate control today by visiting airtouch.net.au. Stay cool, stay connected with AirTouch. And to stay connected with us here at Who's the Boss, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok as well, YouTube at Who's the Boss Pod. Check us out there on that handle and anywhere you get your podcast from. Bossy, this has got me thinking with TikTok, you going to a wedding, dance floor, I wouldn't mind if you just whipped out the phone and maybe got you cutting sick on the dance floor there, and we'll put it on our TikTok channel perhaps.
Oh, mate, that'll go viral, that one. Got some moves, a kid.
Outstanding. Now, this week's guest is Swans legend Jude Bolton. Bossy, before we get into the chat, what struck you most about Jude?
How humble he was, to be honest. And he's put his body through the ringer throughout his career. You know, we talk about the head knocks and the operations that he's had to deal with. But at the end of it, a guy that has reached the heights of his job, like playing AFL, he was just so humble and so nice. I mean, not that I didn't expect that, but yeah, and I got a really cool message from him after it. So you could tell that he really enjoyed himself.
Well, here he is, the Swans legend, two-time Premiership player, and also loves his horse racing. He's got some fun tales here about sneaking into the races with the old cheap suit on, and also a famous day in 2005 that Bossy remembers well with Makybe Diva. He's got a twist in that particular tale to give us on Who's the Boss. Here he is, Jude Bolton. Jude Bolton, great to see you, mate. Over 300 appearances for the Swans. A couple of flags as well. Now happily retired. You gave everything for the Swans. You're sitting here comfortably on this couch.
Oh, Adam, Bossy, great to be here. Yeah, my body's still in pretty good shape. We've got a bit of a bung knee here and there, but you know, after playing footy for a long time, I think you expect a few bumps and bruises over the journey.
Yeah,
one team. But I mean, that's rare these days. Play one team the whole way through.
It is, Bossy. I mean, like a lot of players, either go through that trade period and jump clubs and things like that. So really proud to be a one-club player and have some success during that period. So lucky enough to play with, guys like Adam Goods and Mickey O'Loughlin and those along the way. And, and they're great mates. So. Yeah.
Do you look at, and I don't know if you're the same, Bossy, do you look at footy now and do you look at racing and see things that you didn't see when you were playing or riding and appreciate it more, or go, you know what? I was pretty good in my day.
Oh, I think we all look back and there's always that looking back in reverse and saying you wish you could play it back again. I think for me, I felt like in my last few years I was much more experienced and wish I probably didn't waste the first few years of my career early on. Probably could have jumped into it a little bit early, but that's just experience over the journey.
Yeah, that's just every athlete's journey. I think they always reflect back and there was a period of their life where they definitely could have been much better. I mean, I suppose for some athletes it comes a bit easy, so they dick around a bit, and so there's a bit of a period where they did waste their time, because as athletes we don't last that long. You know what I mean? Our window is very small, especially in impact sports.
Well, yours is an impact sport sometimes.
Yeah, but I'm the same. You look back and you go, oh yeah, could have done this different. But at the end of the day, it is what it is, and we both were privy enough to get to the height of our. Like, winning premierships and stuff like that. You got to look back with a lot of pride, to be honest.
Well, the average career in the AFL is 6 years, and I was lucky enough to buck the trend and play 15 seasons and that sort of stuff. And yeah, as I said, like to have success and be able to sit there even next year, 2005, a 20-year reunion, and have those sort of special moments with the team. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, nice little bit of symmetry
I
here.
know.
20-year anniversary's coming up, isn't there?
Yeah, for both of us. So
I noticed there's the 3 cups aren't here.
Mate,
Where are
Jude,
they?
I know, sorry, mate. I mean, I've dropped the ball there. Literally dropped the ball. I lost them in a taxi about a month ago, and I thought they were gone, right? You imagine losing your premiership, your medallions, and that. You're gutted, right? So I took them back to the original maker, Steve, and he's going to put in the base a hidden spot where I can put the. Did I say that out loud? But where they can put air trackers in there, so I can
keep track of them.
Yeah, and they're going to get a refurb. So I'll have to get you back for a second episode because we'll have lots to talk about. So you can have a drink out of me cups.
Well, that 2005 Premiership Cup, it went on a cup tour around all country regions. Leo Barry took it to Deniliquin, and it came back after a sportsman's night with a huge dint in the top of it. So it's got to be refurbed itself, I think. So, yeah.
So Leo Barry took that mark to
I reckon he might have been recreating
but
it
he
with
dropped
the
the damn
cup.
thing.
He dropped the
Full of drink.
Where are your premiership medallions? You got 2 of the. You were one of the rare players. I think it was you and Adam Goods, maybe another player as well, that played in both 05 and 12.
Yeah,
for the
Ryan
Swans.
O'Keefe and also
Ryan O'Keefe.
Louis Roberts Thompson. So there was 4 of us who were lucky enough to sort of regenerate and go through and play in 2012 as well. But I think they're in the sock drawer somewhere. My premiership medals, and they come out now and then. But only when I've had a few beers.
I was going to say, because Bossy's pretty proud. It's great for racing that you take them everywhere and get people involved and see them. Mate, you got to
They've
start
got
wearing
an
them down
aura,
the
though,
shops.
haven't they? Like when you bring out the 3 cups, it's just like they're just
But
just glows.
anything that's significant in a playing career, whether it be rugby union, or whatever it is, some sort of cup. You wouldn't believe, just on a side note, like where I went back to get my cups refurbed, I seen Justify's Triple Crown trophy from America. There would only be in existence in the world, I think it's been done 12 or 13 times. So I got to hold Justify's, the Preakness of Belmont and the Derby.
Yep.
So when you see these sort of trophies, whether it be your medallion from winning premierships, and you actually get a feeling of. I'm getting goosebumps now. You get a feeling of a sense of an occasion because it's a pinnacle of what we've done.
Well, I still remember even after the 2005 Premiership, we took it on a bit of a cup tour, and I went with Andrew Ireland and Mickey O down to Tasmania, and we had to do a few appearances or something down there, but we thought we'd have a beer beforehand, as you do. You know, let's wet the whistle a little bit, and as we come in, and the big case used to have a big case that protected it. And Andrew Ireland just unzipped it and put it on the bar in this tiny little pub, just to let it. We're just having a chicken schnitzel, chicken parmigiano, or whatever. Turn around, and people, you could see the aura of it, and people were just gravitating towards it. We were just let it go, and then you suddenly realised that's the cup that was won two or 3 days ago.
And everywhere around. And you get no doubt they'll have reunions next year as well.
Yeah,
and
absolutely. It's a great come together. It brings people together, particularly all the support staff around footy clubs. They're big clubs these days, and the travelling party to go interstate and particularly a Sydney team like that, where you're on the plane a lot, you form great bonds with all the people around the club.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. That's the bond that you had with those boys, and all you get back together again and trade off all those stories again.
Mate, you pick up exactly where you left off. The same shit is being hung on the same blokes all the time, and there's a bit of the arrogance from Nick Davis and those types of guys.
Well, Nick, no doubt, who loves his racing, Nick Davis, shout out to Nick. He will no doubt make it a lot of it. The evening, at one point, it'll become about the Geelong game where he kicked those 4 goals in the last quarter or something, wasn't it?
I've never seen someone play that over and over as much, particularly to the young guys and girls that come through the Swans Academy these days. You'll just go, if you want to learn something, let's have a look at these four goals in the last quarter against Geelong.
You've had a bit to do, Bossy, with another of Jude's teammates as well, who's good fun. I reckon we've got to get him on as a guest in the future if he's in Australia. I'm not sure. Ty Keneally, the Irishman, who made the most of coming down here and enjoying life, put it that way.
Yeah, I got to meet Ty again. I did the bucket list tour. We went through all Australia and some remote places, and I took Tiger on a lot of it. And I hadn't met him properly, but now we've become very close friends through this journey. And what a great human being, and the stories,
He's just a phenomenal human being. The fact that he was able to win an AFL premiership, he followed the great Jimmy Steins. He said he was reading his book going, this feels exactly like my journey. And then he wanted to chase his father's dream because his father was just a phenomenal all-Ireland athlete. They actually had a minute's silence when he passed away in Parliament in Ireland for his father.
In Parliament?
In Parliament, because he was just such a highly regarded man. And then he went back and won an all-Ireland final, did the jig that he did on the MCG, and then comes back and plays for the Swans. So just a great human.
He's like David Beckham in Ireland. He's highly regarded. He was showing me footage of the games over there, and they play for pride. You know, it's like 100,000 people in this arena, and they've all got their colours, their badge.
Yeah.
And it's
It's
huge.
beautiful. Yeah, like particularly, Croke Park is just something really special.
Did Tig marry, like if he was the Irish David Beckham, did he marry the Irish Posh Spice?
Like, I'm not judging
we'll
that
leave
at
that
all,
one
but she's wonderful, and they've got great kids. They live in
fantastic.
Sydney here,
Yeah.
so yes.
Great, they enjoy life. They've moved on. Hey, Jude, tell us about your relationship with racing and watching this guy do his thing on track when you got into it. How did you get into it?
Oh, look, I was, having grown up in Melbourne, I sort of lived around that sort of East Keele or Essendon sort of area. So we used to go to Moonee Valley as a youngster. Like I can remember getting a cheap suit on. One of my mates knew a little back entrance that we could jump the fence as a 15, 16-year-old kid, jump in and run into Moonee Valley and you know.
In the Tarakash.
Oh, like exactly.
With all due respect to Tarakash, they're wonderful, wonderful
Yeah,
suits.
I wouldn't have gone near a naked flame. But anyway, but I tell you what, like it was just so much fun, you know, seeing, and then I was lucky enough to see the likes of Octagonal and, you know, Might and Power and those types, and then Sunline multiple years and things like that. And then we go to Flemington, and I can still remember going to Flemington and standing on a big bin just to try and get above the crowd and the Flemington Straight, and you know, it's just phenomenal stuff.
How good is the Cox Plate Day? It's like the Melbourne Cup is I'll repeat myself a lot of times. It's our best. It's our great race, but the Cox Plate is our best race. It's a spectacle.
And the Valley is just it's a really cool place. We used to go to the night races there. I think it kicked off in '98 or something. So I was an 18-year-old kid going with a few mates there, and you're seeing the night races at the Valley, and it's brilliant. I mean, and then in terms of my sort of involvement in racing, just, you know, like my grandfather was always big on sort of owning horses and, you know, different stuff. He'd sort of have Terry O'Sullivan up in the Wimmera training up there. So he grew up in Stawell. And so, you know, there was things like...
Did he have any good ones?
He had one, I can remember all the family being up there for the Stawell Cup one day.
Oh,
and
it's another big meeting.
It's a great... Those
been there, Bossy?
country races.
Yes, I've been for that meeting. It's huge.
It's
great.
big.
Yeah.
And so my mum's maiden name is Blake. And we had Blakey in one of the races that day, and it won on the day, and all the family were on it. It was just, you know, those country meets are wonderful.
They're the best. They're the best. I'd rather go to the country meetings now. Like I just went up to Roma just recently for their cup meeting, and it's huge. It's you know, the country people just put it on, don't they?
Oh, but we went up to Wyong races one year with a few of the Swannies boys, and one of the boys knew Darren Beedman, and he was riding that day, and we'd have a few beers in by that stage, and running down as he's coming out the mounting yard, and someone would yell out, "Is this one good? Are we good to go?" And then he'd give us a wink, and then he'd go back and load up.
Not the jockeys can tip.
No,
everyone.
no.
They can just say that they've got a
I'm
chance.
feeling strong today. That's all you're saying.
Yeah.
But that was the same day that Singo's horse won, and he shouted the bar. So I can stand.
He did it there as well, not
And
just
that-
Golden Slipper Day.
That was,
Yeah.
I think it was one of the lead-ups to the Magic Millions.
Yeah.
I think it was one of the 2-year-old. They have a Magic Million race there. I think that was the
So
day.
very youngsters got the you know,
How good.
And on
stubby
Singo
that sort of
shout
stuff. Exactly.
as
Perfect.
well. Hey, just back to Moonee Valley. You mentioned as well when you went there as an 18-year-old kid, there was extracurricular activities after the last as well. This is marketing genius, and you see it sometimes in Sydney. They have a big party. They do it after Flemington. Everywhere does it. They get an act on after, but they were ahead of their time back in the 90s with the night racing.
Absolutely, the night racing, and then Daryl Braithwaite seeing horses when Sunline was out there and the rain started to drop down. It was like they just did it really well. So
And the
that's
nightclub as well.
That
they had?
nightclub, there's a little nightclub
Yes.
at Moonee Valley, and that used to be just
What was it
pumping.
called? I can't remember the name of the damn
can't
thing.
off the
But
top
I
of
know.
my
I
head.
remember. Yeah.
Did you ever go in after the
The
last?
jockeys would roll up, and they were the
After
celebrities.
last, yeah, we'd better go up there and have a check it out. You know. A couple of young ones used to go and try and cut one off the pack. Us older blokes were really.
I haven't heard that term
That's
since high school.
Just go up there and just cut one off.
But it was always a sight to see when the jockeys would come in and there'd be a throng around them.
Yeah.
But at this point, you're trying to become a professional athlete. This doesn't sound like professional behaviour, Jude.
Well, that's what I say about wasting a few of those early years. You know, like we enjoyed a good time, but I do look back and think that was probably the best era to play elite footy. You know, like we enjoyed each other's company. We were able to just go out and celebrate. And these days, it's so hard to get to the elite level that these young kids are coming in. They're so programmed. You can't even enjoy yourself.
You weren't playing for money back then. You were playing for your pride and your mates.
Yeah.
You're playing for your team. Now it's it's a bit more corporate.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they're worried about their brand, their individual brand, things like that. We had a great group of guys who would enjoy each other. We'd go out and play hard on the field and enjoy a bit of hardness on the off field as well.
Well, that was honed in the backyard, was it not, at home?
Yeah, I grew up in Ballarat. I had two older brothers, Matt and Dom, and there's a bit of a age gap, 8 years between my oldest brother, Matt, and 6 between my middle brother. And, mate, they just bashed me from pillar to post the whole time.
You had to grow up quick, right?
Yeah, you do. But I think it held me in good stead. Like, my dad laid a concrete cricket pitch. We had the chicken wire so you could do a full-blooded cut shot towards the house.
Hit the house and you're out.
Oh, exactly. But they're
bounce catch, you're out.
bowling the cricket balls like flat out to just little kid me, the little brother. But that's good.
Could you have gone cricket?
I loved it. I was in the Vic under 17 squad as a youngster, and but I just loved football too much. I came through with a sort of era, sort of Michael Klinger and those sort of guys were in that squad back then, and but I just love my footy.
Yeah.
Well, I remember clearly watching this guy at the SCG time and time again, Bossy. He went where people ordinarily would not think twice, but like slightly hesitate.
Yeah.
This guy is like a hungry person on a meat pie. It was like in there straight away. And was that essentially born out of your upbringing?
Yeah, it is a little bit. Like, I mean, I think just school footy and also having older brothers and the like, it was pretty tough, upbringing, but it's fun. I think that's what I like. That's the style of players that I like watching as well. You know, ones that are just don't take a backward step and just get in there.
Was it Paul Roos that really recognised that you were in for the scrap and that he changed your position? Is it right at one point?
Yeah, no. So we had Rodney Eade initially, and then when Roosie took over end of 2002, that was a real shift in our whole culture as a club. I reckon probably previously we had accepted a bit of mediocrity at that stage, Bossy, and I think Roosie just changed the whole mindset, and he invested in us. You know, we suddenly, got a bit more midfield time and things like that, and the group of guys who came through that stage really just bought in, and Roosie set a guide to win a premiership in 3 years after that 2002 when he took over, and we won it in 3 years.
But the whole town got involved, didn't they? Like, I think when Roosie got in, it was always on the fringes, but when he got involved, whole Sydney was involved in that. The crowds went through the roof because you were winning. Yeah, the whole culture changed.
Oh, it's a winning town, like there's you've got to make sure that the standard that you're delivering week in, week out is up there, because there's so much other to watch and do in Sydney.
Yep.
With the fearless angle about how you played, when you're developing as a jockey, when does that? Oh, I'm not sure if I'll go for that gap, or man, I'm going at 60 k's an hour with 10 charging horses around me. When does that not become a factor? Because I look at it and go, I couldn't get it out of my head if I was doing it, and I was about 40 kilos lighter.
It was never a factor. It was never a factor, ever. No. Like, you were just... The worst thing you do is think about committing to something, and the moment's gone. And then that's when you get hurt. Yeah. When you hesitate, I'm telling you, you get hurt. If you go in a little bit hesitant, your mindset's different. You charge in, you're going to hurt the person beside you because they're hesitant. You know what I mean? That's the feeling we always had.
When we just went for a kick with my mates, that's what I was always worried I was going to get injured, because you're going half rat power and you suddenly someone, someone goes, oh, let's go for a kick down the park. Whereas I'd rather be out there in the thick of it, going a million miles an hour and just get it done.
Talking about and this is something I wanted to ask you about, because I've had a few of them myself, because you were a very tough, hard head in concussions. Because I'd say I had 5 or 6 really good concussions throughout my career where I completely forgot the day. Yeah. And you know what I mean? Yeah. And anything, and yet it's a stupid, and you're in this loop. Like, you keep asking the same question. What happened? Oh, you had a fall. Oh, where was I? Eagle Farm or wherever. Yeah. A minute later, you're asking, and you're asking the same question, but you're on this stupid loop. I went and seen a doctor, and I'm going to go and ask about where they go and map your brain.
I had a
Tell
couple
me about it.
Yeah, I had a couple of major concussions during my career, and one particular game against the Brisbane Lions at the SCG, actually got concussed twice in the game, which that was in yesteryear when I had a head clash in the first minute.
So if that's today, you're out. You're
absolutely,
not playing again.
Yeah, they pretty much changed the rules after
Back
that
then it was
period.
a rite of passage. Get back out there,
Yeah,
right?
it was sort of like a badge of honour a little bit. And I'd gone through some tests and that sort of stuff, but to get back out there and then just have a head hit the ground, and I remember just looking down at the ball and seeing about 4 different balls, and I was like, if I'd lean over to pick this up, I'm going to do a forward roll and embarrass myself.
Oh, wow.
And I just sort of stumbled, and I wasn't right for a couple of weeks, Bossy, but I played next week and things like that. And I look back now and go, that's the sort of thing that we just can't have. When you see it might be in the NFL or and they're prone on the ground. It's not good. So we want people thriving post their careers.
Well, what I was told, and from a doctor, and I spoke to I'm booked in to go and get your brain mapped. They can. It's like as it was told to me, it's like a forest, right? And when you have a brain injury like a concussion, it's actually like it kills part of that, like it dries up, and they can map it and say, oh, that's where you had that little that concussion or that brain injury, and they can actually work on that part of your brain to get it going again, apparently. So I'm going to go and get mine done. I don't know what they're going to find. I'm okay. But it's a big issue, and I don't know what's going to happen to me later in life because I'm starting to forget things, Paul, Jude. But it's an issue, right?
Absolutely, but I don't want to take the physicality out of the sports.
No.
I certainly want to keep it. That's what I sort of love and thrive. But we want players, really healthy post their career as well.
It's so hard. Like, does your loved ones kind of think, what's going to happen in the years to come? Or?
I'm not sure exactly how they feel, but I think it's just I know that I'm in the gun, and so are many others players from yesteryear that went through and played that sort of style of footy where it was a bit of a badge of honour. You want to get back out there, and you sort of used to say someone get knocked out, it was bad luck, candles, move on. Like that's the way it is. But it's now at least there's been a bit of a culture
They are
shift
trying to
there.
protect the player in there, going around the head and around the scrimmage and that. But at the end of the day, it's a high impact sport, and you know what I mean. If you don't go in there head down, you're not in the team. You're not playing next week. So what is it? Have you have any answers that could change?
Oh, look, you can't shirk an issue like when the contest is there, but they have tried to protect the head in many ways, particularly in our sport. The fact that there's head-eye contact and it's immediately a free kick and the like, and certain just ways you're approaching the football and no sling tackles these days. So they're trying to eradicate as much of those ones that you can control. But it's a 360-degree game.
Oh
There's always going to be a head clash and the like.
Yeah, you look at in AFL when a player goes back for a mark, and some actually, have a bit of self-preservation and go, you know what, maybe not because I've got this charging bull behind me coming out to get the ball or whatever. And the same for a jockey, like us couch experts can sit there and go, he should have gone for that run or blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, you're not on that thing that's going, as I said, 60 k's an hour, or you're not that guy who's going to cop Jonathan Brown going through the back of you or something.
There's an argument to say the public, which I'm part of now, shouldn't be as harsh on those guys that do take a short step, but I still feel that's the expectation of elite sport. When it's your turn to go, you've got to go. That's my own.
Yeah.
Bravest jockey you've ever seen? Like the guy who is known to just take a ridiculous run.
They're all brave in their own respect because, but there's a very fine line, Jude, like between being brave and being silly. Yeah. It's a very fine line that we walk all the time. When you're going that speeds and you're so close together, and you're riding on the edge of a knife all the time. So it's a more of a respect thing for you, because. Jude, if I do something silly and I'm up the front of it, it's catastrophic to 12 people around me. So, you've got to think about not only your own safety, but you got men and women all around you, and horse flesh that you can potentially be killed. So,
the risk reward though, it's that weighing
but
up.
You have to, but you have to ride that line all the time. You can't. Darren Bevan was a freak at knowing where the line was. He could do silly stuff do stuff in a race. Where I go, oh my God, like I'd go in the room and say, he me off. No, It's me to no end because but at the same time, I respect that guy so much because he could find that line better than anyone else and just be able to do it more often. He was genius like that.
And to double down, the prick looked like Tom Cruise when he was back in the day as well.
He was good looking. He was very good at his job. He was riding for the biggest stables. Darren Bevan.
Love you, Dazzler. What about in footy, in terms of the guy you look at and you go, wow?
Look, I was lucky enough to be a youngster when Paul Kelly was captain of the club, and we all just couldn't believe the reckless abandon. Like, Kel had that attitude of just, he wasn't a big talker. He's just an action person. So if the team needed something, he would just throw his body in. And that's why he's a Brownlow medalist. That's why he's a Hall of Famer, because he's just crazy brave. And, he's had 25, 30-odd operations since footy, just to make sure his body's right, because he just put himself where, angels fear to tread.
That's what Tig told me. He's had upwards of 25, 30 operations himself.
Yeah, clean outs and things,
It's unbelievable. He's got every year. You ring up, what are you doing? I got to go in for another operation, another clean out. Oh, my God.
Well, Tig was bloody tough. He would, he'd pop his shoulder out in the game and Leo would quickly turn around, pop it back in, and then he'd get back into it. It's like
far out.
Yeah, it was phenomenal.
Fingers, you see they're they're manky. They go.
They're all
look at those.
Cooked.
Let's do a count then. How many clean outs?
Oh, look, so
Surgeries?
I'm pretty lucky. And that's where I come back and I played with guys who were, had heavy injuries across the time. Yeah. I think I had 7 years straight without missing a game and things like that. That's 145 games straight or something like that.
That's some sort of record, isn't it? Or second?
No, like some of the guys played all the way through. I think
Jared Crouch, didn't he?
Crouch is unbelievable. 198 from debut, I think. And yes, look at Jack Crisp for Collingwood and things like that. Some of the guys have got amazing resilience. So I think the longest stint out of footy I had was 3 weeks, and that was with a partially torn ACL and PCL. My knee went backwards in 2012. I had a bit of a hyperextension and missed 3 weeks. And strapped it up and played in the Premiership. So
that's
pretty lucky.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
Yes, softy, 3 weeks. Well, we'll be back there in 2. It's only an ACL. You got another one?
It's all good.
What's wrong with you? That's incredible.
I did one of them. Everest Day, I had a horse flip over me in race 2. So it's Everest Day. I had 10 rides. I'm riding Yes in the Everest. Horse flipped over with me, and my leg was almost about to, because my leg went different direction with a whole horse on top of me. So it was just about to go pop. I knew it was coming, but I got dragged out, luckily enough. So I had a medial and crucial ligament grade 3 tear. All day I had to ride with, on one side, 5 holes longer because I couldn't actually get my leg into that position. So I rode all day like that. No one even knew.
No.
Because I knew that I was very confident.
Rode with a straight leg almost.
Well, it was about that much longer one side because I couldn't get my leg in. And the only reason I carried on, because I had 10 rides. So I was kind of going all day, and I'm pretty confident this horse could win the Everest. It's a $20 million race. And lucky enough, he won.
It wasn't luck.
But like
he shat in.
I flew down to
Bossy.
Melbourne the next day on Sunday, see my surgeon, and he said, "Mate, you got grade 3 both tight.
Wow.
How'd you do this?" But you do, right? You just do. You don't hesitate.
Yeah.
Did you celebrate that night, by the way, and just forget about the pain?
No, I actually didn't.
You didn't?
I spent all night, ice, leg up, because I knew I was in trouble.
Yeah, wow.
And we're still at the start of the spring. Like, I've got the whole spring to go through. So I went down, flew down on Sunday. My surgeon seen me on Sunday. And same thing, strapped it up and got on with it.
Well, I can remember walking in. I thought I'd done my ACL, and I walked in, and the doc at that stage, Nathan Gibbs, who was
Gibbs
he's a ripper, and he'd call it as he said. If you're no good, you go, you're buggered. But he comes in and goes, I've looked at the scans, and it's hanging by a thread. We'll give it a chance. Yeah. And sure enough, that was enough to cling to go.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
let's go and rehab and get it right.
The worst feeling is when they say no, you can't play.
Yeah.
If they say, "Oh, you've got a chance," you go, "Okay, I'm doing it." The pain, you'll run through the pain.
Yeah.
But the bigger pain is when you're sitting back on the sideline. Well, the boys are. Oh, that's worse.
You look at footy. You're still involved. Triple M. You call some footy. Channel 7. You're involved in the footy coverage as well. So you get a really good look at how the game's played. Do you look at it and go, "How is this getting quicker?" Or is it going in a certain direction that you shake your head about? Yeah,
no, lucky enough to be on the All-Australian Committee, and we picked the Rising Star and the Goal of the Year and the like, and just to see the athletes that are playing the game now, like it's phenomenal. It's gone to another level, and the split-second decision-making that they have, it's just gone to another level since we played.
What do you think what do you put that down to?
Oh, it's just the base is so strong. Like you see these youngsters stepping in, like it might be a Nick Dacos or the like, and they come in and they have such an impact at the elite level as 18, 19-year-old kids. That never used to happen.
I think
you'd find a couple of years and then you'd get 50 games under your belt and you're like, oh, I know what to do in this game. Whereas these come in and they're dominating.
They've got so much information at a young age, like like whether it be YouTube or whatever, they can sit there and watch their stars and you know what I mean, and they've got a bigger group around them to make them come on board quicker. It's the same in all sports, whether it be golf, cricket, tennis. These F1 driving, they're 18-year-old kids. They're riding F1 cars. You know what I mean? Like you say, the evolution of sport has really gone down just through information.
Absolutely, and the vision that you can do, like in terms of preparing for your opponent as well as your own game. It's just gone another level.
And post playing too, like the way they recover now.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It's the whole thing's different.
That's very different.
Mate, you'd have an injury or concussion, you go and have a couple of beers that night, right? Well, you weren't right, but you wouldn't let your mates down.
I felt there was a bit of a shift even when we were playing. We started to have guys that were far more professional, and you spoke of Jared Crouch. He was one of the first that I remember going, "No, I'm not having a drink during the season." We were all a bit like, "What are you doing?" But it was just showing that there was a change, and now that weight of numbers is very different now.
Yeah. Same with jockeys. Do they kind of just stay professional and know they got to ride?
It's really shifted. Like they've all got coaches. A lot of them got, as far as coaches, like mental, physical coaches. The whole because they understand that there's a lot of money to be made in a short time if you're prepared to go that extra yards, because the ones that actually are the best ones are the ones that are doing that all the time. So the younger ones are looking at like Huey Baymans, James McDonald's, myself and Ollie, and who we were training, and they go, I want to be you. So they start doing it. So there's a big flow-on effect.
Yeah.
Any yobbos left? Anyone that just goes, stuff this, my recovery, 13 VBs?
Oh, look,
Dane
I think
Swan's
Dane
gone.
Swan. I was going to mention Swanny's finished up.
Alfie Langer,
Shout
you can't. They said you can't train that.
No.
You just don't even try.
I was playing drinking games with Alfie Langer a few weeks ago. And
You were?
Oh, mate,
how are you still here?
Mate, he was...
I'm doing it tomorrow, Jude.
Alfie gets to one level and he just stays there. I couldn't believe it. It just reeks of experience.
Oh,
Reeks of something. But current players, does anyone any old school kind of throwbacks, or everyone's in the ice bath? Everyone's doing what is it, a red light sauna or all?
The
infrared
saunas and stuff like that. No,
red light district, sorry. Red light sauna.
They're all super professional, and they have to be. They're at the elite level now. Like just to be able to survive and win that next contract and be seen amongst your peers. Like it's almost a bit of yesteryear, and it is a shame. Like I think there is space in particularly in a team environment to get together and celebrate the milestones, celebrate the wins, lament a little bit of losses, but then refocus.
I think as a kid you still want to grow up and have a bit of fun. You know what I mean? That's when you take that away, you see these kids that are burnt out early because they haven't had a chance to enjoy their 17, 18, 19, the best time of their life should be around then, but they're just doing that. You take that away and they burn out very quickly.
Yeah, exactly. You mentioned their contracts. What was that experience like when you're going in to say, I'm worth this, and then they come back to you? And this is a story across all sports, and I don't know if you've had to negotiate certain rates with certain owners.
We always think we're better.
Certain things happen. But what's that process like for a guy that's meant to be a sports person? You're not across accounts. You're probably not across how taxation laws work and all of that, but trying to get the most for your value.
Yeah, I think that's where you do need a good manager, someone who's going to mentor you through that, because you want to just keep the relationship with the footy club as best you can, and just go in and put your nose to the ground and keep working hard, and let your manager go in there and kick some heads in and get it going, because it's a small window to earn, and I don't begrudge any of the players. You'll see now and then that gets published in the NRL around contracts and the like. It's still behind closed doors in the AFL, even though certain players in a certain bracket, but it's like go and do it. Like if you get that big contract, but you got to go and play for the club and deliver upon those big contracts. And there's always more money to move in AFL if there's another club throwing big money at you. But I know I'm really proud that I was a one club player, and I think for me, I always played better without the worry of contracts. Like some guys can just park it and say, look, I'll deal with that at the end of the year. But I preferred to have a bit of security, and then I'd go off and play, whereas some guys are able to just go, no, I don't care about injury or whatever, or I'm going to deliver on this before I get that big contract.
Some people on that, like you were obviously different, but some of the people who had the security might be just parked themselves a bit. You know, when I've got my 10 years, I'll be fine. Where some guys, if they know their contract's up, they just go to another level because number one, they could get their club to renew them, or another club's looking at me playing well. You know what I mean? So there's two sides of that coin.
I feel like that 3 or 4 year contract is a real solid, go off and earn that. You've done a good job. Sometimes they're throwing out 8-year contracts, 7-year contracts. And it's sort of like, well, Bud, I still look back in that. He delivered upon that. But some of the other guys that are on big money have not, absolutely fired a shot.
But you guys are Bossy, the ultimate freelancers, aren't you? Because there's no guaranteed money for a jockey.
No. You're scrapping all the time. Wow. Yeah, you know. I mean, you get to a certain level like Jude, but you don't know. Every sort of season, you're scrapping again. You're like, even like Ollie, I was talking about him. I spent a couple of days with him just recently, and he said he got sick of, like, at his level, he's the GOAT, right? Having to prove himself every season that he's still good enough. It's like, I can't believe you're saying that. That's what he got sick of. Yeah. But you have to keep proving yourself. The young guys coming through, they're better, stronger, faster. Yeah. So you're constantly trying to, on that loop, to try and improve yourself.
And that's where I guess where a team sport's a little bit different. Like I always said, like if the performance of the team is going well, it helps the youngsters because you get to come in, you get a bit of air cover early, and you get to play in a good side and learn the ropes. And it's good also for the older guys. I've been that older guy at the end of my career, and the team's performing well. You just know how to prepare and get yourself and still add value. Whereas if the team's poor performance, suddenly the young guys get exposed, as do the older guys.
Yeah, so. And like in any sport, when you're at a level, like you have your days where you're not going that good. In a team sport, you can probably just, not have as many touches, but the team wins, but you can sort of hide a little bit. In our game, there's no hiding. It's just, it's just us.
If you butcher one, you butcher one.
Well, they don't, not so much butchering, but they don't care about the horses had an off day, or the trainer didn't quite have it fit and ready the day. It's you. You're you know what I mean?
It's your fault.
You got it beat. Well, hang on.
Exactly. Before we close out, because you've got a ripping story about back to 2005, but not about the Sydney Swans, because it was a great year for you. It could have even been a greater year, but we'll get to that in a second. Just a current one about the Sydney Swans, who, from your day, like when you mentioned there, 2002 Portaloos come in, they have had an incredible way of just finding a way of being in the mix. I think there's only 2 years that they missed the finals in like 25 years almost, but they've just changed coach. Like John Longmire steps down, Dean Cox takes over. Huge surprise, because he gets back from his holiday and says, bye-bye. So Horse steps out, Big Cox steps in. I don't know if there's any symmetry there. We'll park that for one moment. But in all seriousness, what is going on at the Swans?
Yeah, look, John's obviously, I spoke to him on the day that he, announced he's sort of stepping away, and that burnout. Like, I can't imagine the pressure that an elite coach is under. Like, they've got the board pressure, they've got supporters, and then just getting the players up week in, week out. And as you said, that model of consistency that he's been able to provide. I mean, to go to the last 4 grand finals that they've played in and not be able to drink from the well, it's probably really disappointing for those Swan supporters. But there's been a real seamless transition to Dean Cox, and he's ready to take the mantle and take this group. And they've got a good side that are going to be competing this year. So it's a bit of a shame to see him finish up, but we'll get to celebrate the 2012 Premiership reunions with Horse. And I don't think he's moving too far. He's going to go into some sort of executive coaching around the Swans anyway.
Tell us about the spring of 05. That's a good one.
Yeah. What happened? So it's back to your granddad, isn't it?
Yeah, so my grandfather, like as I said, he sort of used to love the horses. He'd watch the barrier trials, and he'd always look at the different lead-up races, whether it's Geelong Cup, whether it's the Caulfield into the Melbourne Cup. And it was 2005, and my brothers and I always had a rule that if old Pa gave you a bit of a tip, load up, like, because he's always got his eye on it. And I'm not a big gambler of sorts, but I just enjoy a flutter during spring racing carnival. And it came to the Melbourne Cup in 05, and I was at Randwick watching the races from there, which is always a good day at Randwick. He'd said, on a jeune, get on that. And I've gone down to the bookies, at Randwick, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to put 200 each way. That's a big bet. I'm going to have a go today on a Jeune. Went to one of the bookies, and I think it was showing about 70 to 1. And he went, I can't take that. I can't fulfill that. So I went round to multiple to put, 50 on here, 100, and I end up getting the 200 each way on across multiple bookies, and I just started to cheer it on. And I cheered on a Jeune. And Mackay Diva with Glenn Moss aboard, Steve's home, I've leaked it a bit, just dominates. And I was ropeable, but also cheering you on. But I've had 200 a place, and I think I've ended up winning three or so grand on it.
Mate,
and I'm like, so I'm
day.
getting a bottle of champagne for everyone we're going out. But it could have been 15 grand. I was like, Bossy, you've killed
Thanks,
me.
Glenn.
But
what? I'll stitch that.
Still hurts me to the 8. No, but what a day to do the 3-peat. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So hats off to you.
No, it was pretty cool. Yeah, good day.
Did you see this thing? Because if you have a look at the replay, it's following. So Darren Gauchi's on a Jeune, and he's following you the whole way.
Correct.
You go one way at the top of the straight, he goes the other, and you don't see on a Jeune until the last 50 metres, where it is like out of a cannon.
Yeah, it's a
towards
crazy race, Jude, because you can watch 100 of the Melbourne Cups. There's a first wave, which goes. It's always goes. So there's guys that are coming out making runs. So there's a wave. If you're prepared to wait and you've got the right animal, you get the second wave.
Wow. And
the second wave is the one where you cut through, and you save essentially 10 lengths sometimes. So Gouchy's gone the first wave. He got a bit itchy, and Bossy's just sitting out the back. I'm back out the back waiting for the second wave because it's always the best one anyway. And I'm just gone that way.
There's the experience.
I pull their pants down 3 times in a row.
Magnificent.
Pulled his pants
Oh,
out.
no.
There was about 10 people in all of Australia who were unhappy with that. The rest of the joints going off, and you were one of those 10.
know.
And
It's
your
like-
grandfather as well, probably as well.
Exactly.
Was he on? Your grandfather?
Absolutely, he was on, and all my brothers and everyone. But no, I tell you what, a special day, and it was good to still get a win.
Well, mate, I got the Honour Jeune socks on today.
There
I
it
just
is.
realised
do you?
as well if I can get those up in maroon. So sorry about that, Bossy, but
Mate, I'm a maroon person. Queenslander, mate.
that's why we didn't have the cups here, just to remind you of the third one.
I thought it might hurt.
Yeah, exactly.
There's so much pain. That's so much pain though when you think of the what if you've had something on, you think of I could have done this, I could have done that with it.
Yeah, I mean, we lost 2006, so going back to back by a point, and I've never watched that game of footy because I just know the mistakes.
Have you watched the 05
Was
Melbourne
there-
Cup again?
I've watched the 05.
Was there mistakes in the? Was there mistakes in that year?
In a 1 point game, and I missed 2 shots on goal down towards the punt road end, and you just
2 shots you would have normally got,
just in the pressure in the moment, you're sort of just you're looking at the result rather than
Yeah.
Well, it's
going
interesting
through
you
the
mentioned that. Just turn around. We don't. We didn't
No.
do it. We couldn't do it to you.
No, we'll put it up later.
So you never watched that one, but you watch 05 and 12 any day of the week.
Anytime. Yeah, a bit like Nick Davis watching his Geelong game.
Oh,
You sit back.
4 in
and
the
watch
last.
those.
Was it 4 in the last quarter? Wasn't it?
Absolutely.
Something like that.
Might get a mention next year at the reunions. You dare say, Jude? What's on for the next couple of months? What does life look like for you? Day to day?
Yes, a bit of Christmas with the family. Like we always host at our place, and just looking forward to Triple M footy next year, and being
How
part of
good's
the
Triple M
Channel-
footy?
Channel 7 call and that sort of stuff. We love being a part of the footy still, so it's good. Next best thing to play.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the odd flutter here and there as well.
Absolutely.
Good luck with that, mate.
Cheers.
Thanks so much, Jude, for the chat.
Thanks,
Hey,
Alex.
Jude,
Cheers,
that was
Bossy.
so
Cheers,
good, mate.
Awesome,
Thanks,
mate.
brother. Appreciate it.
So, Bossy, you're right, mate, in the intro there. Such a humble human being, a wonderful human being, Jude Bolton, and doing good things in the community as well with mental health. Doing great things away from his footy career. But the one that sticks out for me, mate, is the sliding doors moment. Imagine if we were sitting there doing that chat about him trumpeting his 70 to 1 find on Honour Jeune, and you're sitting there talking about 2 Melbourne Cups after the sick beat of the outsider coming to get you. It's incredible.
It's incredible, isn't it? I think that particular day that could have changed both of our lives either way. So I'm glad the legend went my way, to be honest. But wow, what could have happened? Like you say, the sliding doors moment. If Honour Jeune gets up on the line and beats Mackay Diva, he would have been doing cartwheels, the kid.
But you were too good. You knew you had everyone covered there, so you gave her a kind ride towards the line. So I'm not saying it was an unlucky beat, but you were too good on that day, absolutely.
Yeah, she was too good, the girl, and I'm glad that we got the chance to create history together. But on a journey, to be very honest, Adam was unbelievable on that day. If it had a bit more luck in the run, it probably beats me anyway. But anyway, that's the way it goes.
That's the way it goes. You make your own luck. And Jude Bolton certainly made his own luck in his career and being in the right place at the right time for 2 premierships with the Swans. It was great to chat with him. Now, another mention of one of our great supporters here at Who's the Boss, IPE, International Premier Events, is the hat. I won't put it on because I don't want to rough up what hair I have left. But there you go. I'll put it on when I go outside and protect myself from the sun. Now, if you love your racing, rugby, state of origin, whatever the sport, F1 as well, these guys are the best in the business when it comes to client entertainment. They've got superb events all around the country. British and Irish Lions coming, the Melbourne Cup next year. As mentioned, Origin, Formula One down in Melbourne. Take a look, IPE. And Bossy, you're around these events as well. You pop your head in on occasions to lend your expertise to whatever's going on out there.
Oh, absolutely, mate. They just do outstanding stuff, and it's 5-star. So that's the reason I put my name to it, because I'm proud to be associated with IPE. Like you say, they got they do all the stuff that I love anyway: rugby union, rugby league, F1, racing. So it's right in my wheelhouse, and I've had a ball every time I've been to one of their events.
Yep. So there's plenty more to come, plenty to choose from as well. Go to ipevents.com.au. So thank you to the guys from IPE. Buy your corporate tickets with IPE, and we'll hopefully see you in the new year. Bossy will be around the place, definitely. Now it's time for Bossy's Best. So Bossy, it's, as mentioned at the top, it's not peak time for racing around the place, but there's still some good ones. We've got the Ingham at Randwick on Saturday afternoon, named after the 2 legendary owners, Jack and Bob Ingham, who put so much money, and their family as well, so much money and investment into racing.
Oh my God. I got the opportunity to ride for Jack and Bob and got to know them on a friendly basis. They were just inspirational in our sport. They tipped so much money in, but they were invested personally in the game. They loved the game. Bob loved a bet. Jack he even loved a bet more. But they were a massive operation at one point. I think they would have had maybe on their own 300 or 400 horses in work at one point. So that's a big investment into our sport.
Yeah, they for newer listeners, they were the cerise colours, which you still see sometimes. The family's kept hold of them. Fangirl is a horse that they race with Chris Waller. But the cerise colours were everywhere. And then Bossy, they sold to Godolphin, didn't they? And then it's become the Blue Jackets instead of the cerise.
Yeah, the farm was sold some time ago, maybe a decade or so ago now. And but Debbie Capitas, who's the daughter of the Inghams, she's kept that cerise colours going around, and they've been very successful. But it's honestly, it's so good to have races of this calibre named after that family, because, like I said, and I'm repeating myself, they were so big in our sport and left a massive footprint. So for the ATC to honour their name and keep that name going is we're all very proud.
Yeah, it's a $2 million race. I mean, like when you rode for Jack and Bob on the odd occasion that you did what was the sling? I can only presume, I was just throwing it out here, but a couple of chickens if you got one across the line for them?
Yeah, chicken nuggets generally.
Brilliant.
No, but they were very big, were they? They were chickens, the chicken industry. They had a massive footprint there as well.
Yeah, very successful businessman who employed a hell of a lot of people across a number of industries in Australia. It's good to see the legacy movie living on with those colours still racing around. But have you got anything for us in the Ingham at Randwick on Saturday?
Well, he's on his winning way again, and Tommy Berry has found the key to. I don't even know how to say this horse's name. It's such a Gringotts.
Yep, Gringotts.
Gringotts.
Yep.
Yeah.
Master.
Tommy Berry, since he's got on this horse, has had this horse absolutely flying. He's won his previous 2 starts. He's drawn well again. I know he's going quickly up in the ratings and quickly up in the weights, but you only do that because you're winning and winning impressively. So I think this horse will continue on his winning ways. And Kieran Maher just seems to have this ability to keep these horses at their top for such a long time. He can move them from one place to another, so that keeps them stimulated. He's very good at this, so this horse might go and collect another big check.
Yeah, we've got the $1.5 million Gold Rush over 1,400 at Group 3 at Ascot as well. You've got some handy races in Brisbane. You've got a lot of English races down in Melbourne as well. So there's enough to keep us interested on Saturday, Arvo.
There are actually. I mean, and before we know it, we'll be in the Summer Carnival, which will be up in Brisbane. So yeah, the racing never stops. But Western Empire for Grant and Alana Williams over there in Perth. Billy Egan rides. I know he's drawn a little bit awkward, but at set weights, he's 110 rater. He's got a little bit on these in ratings, and he's absolutely in gun form. He wasn't beaten far last start, so in the Group 1 race, so he can continue on and run very well here. I think he's third up, so he should be reaching peak fitness.
So they're the two tips for Bossy's best this weekend. Bossy, enjoy the heat if you can down in Adelaide. Hopefully the air touch is working at the wedding and you have a great time and enjoy yourself. I'm sure you will.
Mate, look forward to catching up with you, Adam, next Thursday. Back down in the studio in Sydney and continue on our merry ways. I'm having fun, mate.
Likewise, I'm having a great time, and we've got a ripping guest. I won't give it away, but it's a ripping guest. I reckon, Bossy, we're going to laugh our head off for about an hour.
Yeah, I'm going to have, I don't know, my sides might be splitting. I'm going to have to, when you have those moments when you laugh that much, your jaw is that sore. I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, absolutely. Bossy, have a great weekend, mate, and safe travels.
Thanks, Adam. You have a great week yourself, my friend.
Cheers, mate. We'll be back with more Who's the Boss next week. Thanks for watching another episode of Who's the Boss. If you like our content, hit the like button somewhere down here.
And if you want to subscribe, right here.